Well, you thought it was only horse racing that had superstition. David Leslie, from 42 and 43 at Schnitzer BMW through David Coulthard's Holy Lucky Underpants, every single driver has got just a little bit of a superstition, haven't they? Getting in the car from the same side, putting on their left boot before their right boot. It doesn't make any sense at all, given the amount of preparation that goes in, but you can't fight against that slightly superstitious nature there.
There's an awful lot of people in motorsport got various superstitions, and you go through a certain rigmarole before you get into the car, before you do something, and a lot of people have it, a lot of people do it, and sometimes you do it without even thinking about it. So it's not something that some people do on purpose, but it just comes automatic, and they think, well, I've always done it that way, and I believe that if I do it that way, it'll be good luck for me or whatever reason, and it happens that way. There's nothing you can do about it. So it works for some people. It's mind over matter, and it doesn't matter what sport you're in. If you've got a very good mind, you can get that matter to go around the circuit. In motor racing, if you're the driver sitting like Gabriele Tarquini inside that Seat, and you've got the right mind, that car that's on the outside of him, that Seat, he can get that round there into a very good point-scoring position. Now, Gabriele, we haven't spoken about much all year long, but in actual fact, he's continuing to score points all the time. He's actually third equal in the points championship at the moment.
Well, Tarquini is definitely on the softly catchy monkey approach, and he really is absolutely locked into this. You've got to score points every time you lose the pit lane mentality. That will see him, hopefully, if he can continue to do so, in the frame. Do you know, last year when we got to Macau, we had 3 drivers, didn't we? Dirk Muller, Andy Prio and Fabrizio Giovanardi. I would not be surprised to see 6 or maybe even 8 drivers when we get to Macau with a chance of winning the title mathematically. And, you know, that is because there are so few points to go around. Nobody can really get a big lead, and if you get 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 from a race weekend, then actually that's not a bad race weekend. All right, we've seen some drivers score 12, 14, even 16 a race weekend. That's exceptional. It's not going to happen to you 2 race weekends in the championship.
There are 6 drivers out there in this championship, all within 6 points of each other at the top of the championship table. And that's how close it's going to be. And I believe that when it comes to the end of the season, we get to the last race in November at Macau, those 6 people, I think, will still have an opportunity to win that championship.
Well, again, look at the grid. You know, we've got guys there towards the top of the grid who have not been there. You recently paid a Terting for a start. Jörg Muller, apart from scoring points in Magny-Cours, has not scored all season long. Augusto Farfus there. And again, Gabriele Tarquini lining up in 5th position on the grid after 4th in race 1. If he gets 4th again, that'll be a good weekend for him. That'll be a happy bunny. That'll be better than a race and a win and a retirement. So, you know, you've got to get all these guys in, and behind them, Gianni Morbidelli in 9th place. He could add another few points to his tally as well, despite the fact he missed out on the top 8. Cars ready to head off on their warm-up lap here at Oschersleben prior to race 8 of the championship. We'll be back live on Eurosport from the German race weekend. Stay with us.
Veru, your partner for ignition, diesel cold start, electronics and sensorics.
Welcome back to Oschersleben as the cars finish their warm-up lap. Just been driving around trying to keep that temperature in the tyres, and the fans in the stands will be trying to keep the temperature as well. It's a cold day here at Oschersleben in eastern Germany, about 25 kilometers from the city of Magdeburg, around 2 hours drive from the capital Berlin, 150 kilometers away to the northeast. So race one won by BMW, with BMW in second, Seat third, fourth and fifth. In fact, apart from one lone Alfa Romeo, top 8 are all BMWs and Seats. Then the Chevrolets behind them. Now, with Seat on pole position, can Jaime Puig and his boys claim a race win here in Germany, as they did in 2004, courtesy of Rickard Rydell. Peter Terting, the young German, the 23-year-old Seat driver, starts on pole position with Jörg Müller of Germany alongside him in the BMW. Either way, looks like a German will win this one. Augusto Farfus of Brazil third, James Thompson of Great Britain in fourth place. Gabriele Tarquini, Rickard Rydell for Seat fifth and sixth, and race two's winner Andy Priaulx starts eighth with runner-up Dirk Müller alongside him, seventh place on the grid. Cars ready then for the start of round 8 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. 14 laps of Oschersleben. The red light will go on, and when it goes off, Jörg Müller on the right-hand side of your picture will launch the BMW to try and take the line for Peter Terting into the first corner. Good start, unqualified success from Jörg Müller. Peter Terting trying to hold off the car of Augusto Farfus, and that's Dirk Müller going into third place as Farfus takes second into the first corner. The Seats did not get away well. Seat third, fourth, fifth and sixth, or fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh, with Terting, Thompson, Tarquini and Rydell in some sort of an order there, ahead of Andy Priaulx. So a very good start indeed from Dirk Müller to really get up there, David, from seventh into third, and Priaulx is stuck behind that yellow and blue clue as one of the Hondas gets backed off. It's not. It's a Pro Team BMW of Luca Rangoni, who was second in the independence race in round 7.
Yes, it was a fantastic start there for Dirk Müller. He really propelled that car for start right to the front and up into third place. Now, he was side by side with Andy Priaulx on that grid. Look how far back Andy is. He's behind 4 Seat cars. So all of a sudden, Dirk got past 4 Seats. Andy didn't get past any of them.
And right Rob behind, Huff,
yeah, right
up his exhaust pipes. That's the blue Chevrolet. Huff has passed Ivan Muller, Tom Coronel and Gianni Morbidelli off the grid. So a great start from Huff. But Priaulx, well, the gaps opened up well. Sometimes there is a bit of luck in it. The holes in the traffic fell for Dirk Müller, and clearly there were 3 or 4 Seats abreast in front of Andy Priaulx, and he could not get by. But critically, he survived the first corner, and that's not always the case. Well, there towards the back of the field you see the independents battling, but it is Jörg Müller that leads. You put your money on him as being our race winner, and Peter Terting maybe taking second, but I don't think either of us had thought that Augusto Farfus would stay in second place off the grid from third position in the starting lineup. He made a very good fist of that start, David, and it was only because he kept his wits about him that we don't have a Schnitzer BMW 1-2 at the moment.
That's right, he really did keep his position and hung on to it there. He wasn't going to let that BMW pass if he could help it, but there you see he realised he wasn't going to be able to beat the BMW, but he took himself across there. But look at that other BMW, Dirk. He came from the outside through a gap that we didn't see, put himself on the inside, and that's how he managed to get it. But here's Rob Hoff. Now, Rob was positioned himself out a little bit, not right behind Tom Cornell, so he should pull himself out. He did that. He got himself into the middle of the road to get past there. He got past him, look at that, right across the grass, and past the Alfa Romeo, right around the outside. Rob really did go well in his first race. We said that, and he will go well, I'm sure, in the second race.
Great onboard view there, courtesy of Nicola Larini in the other Chevrolet. Rob Huff coming alongside Andy Priaulx for 8th position. This is a place that Priaulx can't lose. Ivan Muller goes through as well. Priaulx has got to keep the car on the island, though, but he's out of the points. Rob Huff is in the points. Dirk Müller under pressure now. This is very interesting from Peter Terting for 3rd place. We saw early in race 1, David, the Seats going very strongly as Ivan Muller with 75 kilos of success ballast passes Rob Huff under braking, and on the straight Rob Huff will have to try and fight back, but we saw the BMWs coming much more to the fore as the race progressed. Jörg Müller leads, Augusto Farfus right with him, Dirk Müller in 3rd position. then Terting, Thompson, Rydell, Tarquini, Huff ahead of Prio, and Ivan Muller ahead of Huff. Well, that's vital for Ivan Muller. He's now moved himself up in one move from 10th to 8th, and a single point looks to be his tally at the moment, unless he can improve on that from this race weekend. Not much to write home about when he came here as the championship leader. Looking back towards the Seats, and that was the rear-faced camera of Peter Terting, looking at James Thompson. Thompson, we think, must have had something like a brake pedal going away on him in race 1. Third place, he just couldn't hold on to. This is Jaime Puig on the right-hand side, the boss of Seat Sport, and look at the way the Leons fly over the curbs. Was that, in fact, was that Dirk Muller's rear-facing camera? I think it might have been, actually, looking back at Peter Terting. From Dirk Muller's viewpoint, the BMWs we know ride the curbs very well. The Seats clearly do. Look at this, 5 in line there, ahead of Rob Huff, Andy Prio, and then the next car, that's Gianni Morbidelli. And Prio's really got to mind his P's and Q's with the Alfa and Tom. Oh! Huge accident, and that's Nicola Larini. Went off at absolutely unabated speed, and David, that looked like it was going to be a massive impact, fortunately on the passenger side, but he was not slowing down at all there.
I know that was high speed behind, right at the back of the picture there. The car was sideways off onto the grass. When it does that, the grass does not slow it at all. It will go into the barrier. And if you look round the outside of here, there are an awful lot of concrete walls around the circuit. Yes, there are some amicable barriers, but there are some very big walls as well.
Well, that had all the hallmarks of a total brake failure there. He just went straight off sideways, as if he'd been thumped off sideways. There he is. Oh, it's Menu. It's Alain Menu. Well, I'm just so relieved to see him out of the car, where in that case, I don't know where Nicola Larini has got to, because he was well up there and he's disappeared completely. Alain Menu is out of his car. Was it Menu we saw go off? It's crumpled on the right side. Surely Menu and Larini didn't tangle, did they? Larini is 23rd at the moment. Well, he should have been way higher up. He and Menu started 13th and 14th. Well, I'm just so delighted to see a driver walk away from that, because that had all the hallmarks of potentially being a very nasty crash. Back at the front of the race, Jörg Müller under pressure from Augusto Farfus. Can Farfus win again? He won in Monza. Could he win at BMW and Seat's best track? That would be a real turn-up for the books, and would have Schnitzer going straight back to the FIA saying, give them their 20 kilos back right away. Andy Prio with Gianni Morbidelli right behind him. They're 10th and 11th at the moment. Prio in 10th, Morbidelli 11th. And Augusto Farfus, his last lap was the quickest car on the track. He's pushing Jörg Müller for the race lead. BMW have won all but one race in 9 starts here in European and World Touring cars. Alfa Romeo have never won. Only Seat have broken BMW's stranglehold with Ricard Rydell 2 years ago. Can Augusto Farfus do it now? That would be a great race result for the Brazilian, to put himself ahead of Jörg and Dirk Müller now at home in Oschersleben, ahead of Schnitzer BMWs. What a result that would be, on board with the Brazilian.
Yeah, Augusto Farfus really is making this car work very well indeed. They've got their slightly lighter car than what they had at Brands Hatch, and I feel that they've obviously made some improvements, as well as the fact they've lost 20 kilos. Not all this performance advantage from where they were at Brands Hatch to where they are here now at Oschersleben has come from just simply a loss of 20 kilos. But Augusto Farfus really is driving well. Now, we've seen him drive like this before and done really well, and then unfortunately make some silly mistake somewhere towards the end and actually hit the guy in front and knock him off. We sincerely hope that doesn't happen. We feel he's been getting better over the year, and but certainly last year he struggled to be more consistent with his driving, but hopefully he's sandwiched between 2 Schnitzer BMWs. I must admit, that's not where I would like to be, between 2 Schnitzer BMWs. You feel you're very much on your own and they're very much ganging up on you. But right behind those 3 cars is a very big gang of 5 Seats.
Well, I have to say, the one car that Jörg Müller would not want around him when he's trying to win a race is Augusto Farfus. They have a long history of being magnetically attracted to each other, these two cars. And if Schnitzer haven't found the alpha magnet in the rear bumper, the side walls of the tyres and the front end of the car, then they certainly need to do some more looking. At the moment, though, Farfus is being held up by Jörg Müller, and I really didn't think you'd be able to say that here at Oschersleben this season. Dirk Müller right behind them, Peter Terting closing in, so is James Thompson, so too Ricard Riedel, so too Gabriele Tarquini, so too Ivan Müller, and even behind them, Rob Huff and Andy Priaulx are closing in, because Jörg Müller is about the slowest man in the top 15 at the moment. You don't have to be the fastest to win the race, you just have to be the firstest, and at the moment he is being exactly that. He is holding on to his lead and making it the devil's own job for Farfus to try and find a way through. But David, there's no question the Alpha's got the ability to win this race.
Yes, that's surprising all of us, because we expected to see it. You know, they really have been good here in the past, and we expected them there to be battling with the BMW for that lead. But it's rather taken us by surprise, having seen how far back the Alphas were at Brands Hatch, as we said earlier. Now all of a sudden, look at this, they're really on him. He's really pushing that back bumper, and Jörg is having to drive very defensively, and in doing that he's slowing himself down, he's slowing Augusto down, he's slowing Dirk down, and the 5 Seats behind are catching all the time. They are reducing the lead that these 3 cars had initially, and Jörg very much is watching his mirrors to see what Augusto Farfus is doing, and Augusto really is concentrating on what's happening in front more than what's happening behind. Yes, he's got Dirk right behind him, and Dirk very much would like to have a Schnitzer 1-2. That really would help them, because they are in Germany, they are driving BMW cars, and I'm sure that that's what BMW would very much like.
Well, 2 second places would be a great result here for Dirk Müller, but at the moment Jörg Müller's having to defend like nobody's business to hang on to the lead. Augusto Farfus in second place in Oschersleben in Germany, race 8 in the World Touring Car Championship, just dropping back a little off the tail of leader Jörg Müller after pressing him so hard 2 laps ago. Now he's under pressure for second place. The BMWs seem to get stronger and stronger in race 1 as the others faded, and in race 2, David Leslie, we're halfway through. It looks as though exactly the same is happening. Ricard Riedel said he waited too long to go past James Thompson in race 1. He's maybe waited too long to go past Tom again in race 2 as he tries to make a change for 5th position, but Thompson is definitely not on top form here. He's holding the others up, and that's very bad news indeed. Now he'll have to let them go through, and he will probably have to let both Riedel and Tarquini get through as well. And here comes Ivan Müller.
Yeah, you can see there just how cautious the Seats are being with each other. They want to overtake, but they must not touch each other. We heard them say that earlier on in the briefing, that yes, they can race together, but they must not touch each other. And it's very difficult to get past somebody when these cars are so close. The top 10 cars have all lapped within 0.6 of a second of each other. And you can see just there, that was a bit of a move to try and get past James Thompson. That slowed that second group of cars down a little bit. So you've got 1 Seat now, which is Peter Terting, still going with the front 3. Then you've got that little bit gap back. Now you've got Riedel, who's eventually got past Thompson there. Next Tarquini, next Müller up there. Next Tom Cornell, the highest placed of the independents. Tom really, with that new car which he got at Brands Hatch, has moved forward. He's really hanging onto the back of the works cars now. He's moved away from the rest of the independents in performance.
He's got ahead of Gianni Morbidelli's Alfa Romeo as well, so that's a very good step forward for him. He's right behind Andy Priaulx, and Rob Huff, you saw basically hidden behind the Seats there. There is the Chevrolet. Rob Huff just on the fringe of the points. He's in 9th place, Priaulx in 10th, and Priaulx desperately needs something to happen. He's now all over the back of this train, but there's just this solid wall of yellow in front, and you saw it from the rear shot before. Rob Huff trying to get through as we ride with the tail end Charlie there, Ivan Müller. Rob Huff just couldn't see track for all the yellow cars. However, Jörg Müller finally is feeling the pressure relieved, and he is starting to ease away a fraction. Augusto Farfus in second place for Alfa Romeo, with Dirk Müller behind. Peter Terting still just about with them, but he is being left by this group, David. The Seats again are fading a little in the second part of the race, but once more, Jörg Müller breaking so deep into that hotel sequence, you could see the drivers behind him driving through his tyre smoke. So Jörg is thrashing this car mercilessly to try and stay clear of Augusto Farfus's Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, you may be in the lead, but that doesn't mean to say you can ease up or anything like that. You really have to keep on pushing all the time to try and stay out front, because these guys are right on the ragged edge all the time, and unless you're the same, then they're very quickly going to catch you. And Augusto Farfus, as we've seen, is working very well this weekend at Oschersleben, and Jörg Müller really has to keep on pushing. Although he's in the lead, he's braking as late as he can, he's locking wheels up. We've seen that with the smoke that came off it, but he's got a little bit, you don't need very much in touring car racing, but just a little bit of a gap, about 1 second at the moment between him and second place, and that makes all the difference in touring cars. A second isn't very long. If you think of how long a second is, it's such a short space of time. In motor racing terms, especially in world touring car terms, that's quite a big time.
At the moment, Jörg Müller on target for a 12-point score this weekend. Dirk Müller for 14 and trying to make it 16 by passing Augusto Farfus and get another second place. And that will rocket the two Schnitzer drivers up the standings. And Andy Prio, our championship leader at the moment, took over the lead by winning race 1 here in Germany from Ivan Müller. He will drop down the order. Ivan Müller currently just scoring that final point for 8th place, the last of those multicoloured Seat Leons, but Rob Huff desperate to try and take it away from him, and Andy Prio, once the door is opened and they can crowbar their way inside some of those Seats, he will be so far up Rob Huff's exhausts that it will be as if one blue and white car came past instead of two separate ones. And Huffy is the man that Prio must follow, because Rob is definitely going to try and lever his way inside Ivan Müller again. He's done it once already, but Ivan took him back, and now he's just got to keep pushing, because the Seat's tyres will be going off quicker than the Chevrolets. It'll be less nimble, slower into the corners, slower off the corners. He's got to find a way past, but Ivan Müller is the king of the slide, and he's sliding it now.
And just behind Andy Prio, you can see the orange Seat, and right behind that orange Seat is Gruber, the young German who started the first race in last position, and he's managed to wind his way through the field just the same as Rob Huff has done. So those two young guys really have made a big impression this weekend at Oschersleben.
And Zanardi is behind Gruber in 14th place from 24th on the grid after his race 1 dramas, so he hasn't exactly been hanging around either, the old man, passing 10 cars in the first 10 laps. But Jörg Müller now clear and away from Augusto Farfus. There's clear air between the two of them. Farfus getting no advantage from being behind the BMW, whereas Dirk Müller is getting a little bit of a toe on the two faster sections of the track from him. But again, still you hear Jörg Müller really caning the car under braking, locking up every time into that first corner sequence. And Augusto Farfus hanging on ahead of Dirk Müller. I'm not sure that Dirk's going to get second place, you know. I think that as we ride on board the Alfa Romeo, that he's pretty much got this covered.
He really has worked very hard with that Alfa Romeo to stay in second place, initially trying to take the lead away and then just losing a little bit of time, but hanging in well for second place.
10th place for Andy Prio and no points. Our race 1 winner has been bumped down the order by Rob Huff in the blue Chevrolet and by Ivan Müller in the yellow and blue and red and green and any other colour they had in the paint shop at Seat Leon. Ivan Müller with those 75 kilos of weight success ballast. Look what the effect is, David. There's 8 or 9 cars in a long string behind him that just can't get by, including Florian Gruber, you see there on the left-hand side. Alex Zanardi trying to come around him and gets across his nose. That's a good move by Zanardi. Now, what could he have done if he'd been on pole from 8th place in race 1? I really think he would have had a great chance to win again. This is certainly now clearly one of his favourite racetracks. Jörg Müller leads. Augusto Farfus second for Alfa Romeo. Third place, Dirk Müller. And 0.4 of a second behind. Not enough for Farfus to be able to relax. Peter Terting in fourth. Probably not going to be on the podium. Rydell got past Thompson. Tarquini couldn't. And then Müller, the stopper in this bottle that has probably got Rob Huff and Andy Priaulx both primed to explode. Lap 13 of 14. One to go after this. Can Müller keep them bottled up behind and take one vital championship point away from this race? And it would be vital as well, because he didn't score anything. He was 11th in race one. You just know, I mean, you know him of old, David. You know how hard Yvan Müller is going to be clinging on to that single point in 8th place.
Well, he really has to cling on for his life, because he scored nothing at all in the first race. Very disappointed. He was lying in 8th place. That would have put him on the front row, and then he had that tangle with Zanardi, and that put him out of the points altogether. So he wants to take something away. He's got his 75 kilos he's carrying. If he only takes away 1 point, he will lose about 20 kilos of that weight, and that will help him tremendously when he goes off for the flyaway races to Brazil and then to Mexico. So he desperately would like to score points, and scoring points, we were saying earlier about Tarquini, who is third equal in the championship before this race started. Gabrielli's never scored higher than 4th place, but yet he's third equal in the championship. He has scored in every single round, and Tarquini is 7th at the moment. Okay, he's not going to score a lot of points in this race if he carries on and finishes 7th, but he's still scoring points, and that is making a big difference to him. He may not be the C8 driver who's setting the world alight, but he's the C8 driver who's up there.
Well, there are 20 drivers capable of finishing on the podium in this championship, given the right conditions to make their car as competitive as it needs to be, and that makes being in the top 3 the devil's own job. To get more than 1 or 2 race wins in this championship is going to be a very, very major mark of your success. But as you said, standing on the podium is one thing, but racking up decent points every single race, that is an entirely different thing. And to be a flash in the pan and to have one great race weekend, as Jörg Müller's proved at Manicourt over the last 2 or 3 seasons, is not enough. You've got to be much more like Dirk Müller. You've got to have 1 or 2 wins maybe, but a lot of 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th positions to back those up. 0 points don't help you at all. Farfus now in real trouble on this last lap, and I think that Dirk Müller is going to go for it. If there's even an inkling of a chance, he will make the pass for 2nd position. 2 points might win him the championship. He knows that. He lost the championship 2 years ago, despite being tied on points with Andy Priaulx, because he'd only won 1 race to Priaulx's 5, and 2 points here might send him away from Macau as a world champion. Last corner, last chance, and Farfus has got it covered. Jörg Müller will win in Germany, the 2nd time that he's won at Oschersleben, and his 2nd win of the season. Augusto Farfus, a great 2nd place for Alfa Romeo. Dirk Müller, 3rd place, 4th, 5th, 6th. Oh, there's a sort out towards the line behind Yvan Müller. Rob Huff does not get him, and Andy Priaulx out of the points then in 10th place. Last point goes to Yvan Müller. Rob Huff in 9th, Andy Priaulx in 10th. 10 points in race 1, nothing in race 2, and well, he'll have been surprised by that, but the gaps just did not open up for him at the beginning of the race, and from 8th position he went backwards instead of forwards. But it is a race win for Jörg Müller and Schnitzer BMW here in Germany. We'll be back. Jörg Müller claims his first World Touring Car win of 2006. 2 second places at Manicourt. He's gone 1 better here. Augusto Farfus so close and yet so far. Dirk Müller 3rd of the BMW in race 2, 2nd of the BMWs, and a good scoring weekend for both Schnitzer drivers. Dirk Müller 14 points and Jörg Müller 12 points for him. So a very strong scoring weekend. Ricardo Rydell got 10, Andy Priaulx 10. Augusto Farfus 10 points as well. James Thompson, Gabriele Tarquini 7 points each, but the man who came here leading the championship, just 1 point for Yvan Müller. No wonder he clung on to 8th place in race 1 as tenaciously as he did to deny Andy Priaulx that chance to move up. So there's the result. Jörg Müller, Dirk Müller sandwiching Augusto Farfus on the podium, and then Seats as far as the eye can see, pretty much all the way down through the points anyway, hogging them all for themselves, not letting poor Rob Huff, Andy Prior or anybody else having a snuffle in the trough. Gianni Morbidelli in 11th ahead of Alex Zanardi, 24th to 12th in race 2. Tom Coronel top independent. Second place was Ryan Sharp then in the independents category. Very good bounce back for him. And Jens Edmund third in the independents in the Peugeot 407. Emerson O'Brien again in trouble, unfortunately, in his BMW. So only 24th place for him, but still at least he got to the finish, which is more than happened in race 1. So the Schnitzer team happy with that one. David Leslie, again, convincing weekend for BMW, winning both races. Prio taking his 4th win here, Jörg Müller his 2nd. So out of now 10 starts, BMW have won 9 off them, and Seat the only interloper on the top step of the podium at Oschersleben.
Yes, you've got to say that this is the German round of the World Touring Car Championship, and BMW certainly want to do well in front of their home crowd, and they've done that today.
Well, it certainly works well, whatever they do at this track. And Jörg Müller from 7th place in race 1, got away at the start ahead of Peter Terting, and try as Augusto Farfus might, although he ran into the back of Jörg because he was clearly quicker in the first half of the race, he could not get alongside and make the pass. Jörg Müller held him off and then drove away to win. Augusto Farfus will be clearly delighted with that 2nd position here at Oschersleben. The Alfa Romeo once more a force to contend with, and 3rd position for Dirk Müller. A very important race weekend for Dirk Müller's championship chances, and what it has really served to do, not only producing some great racing, it has really served to tighten up the championship in an unbelievable way. The top of the points very close indeed. So Jörg Müller will be on top of the podium then. Schnitzer BMW scoring again very strongly here. Let's catch up with our race winner.
Jörg Müller, after securing a good starting position for race 2, you took off to a flying start. A good weekend for you, a perfect weekend for the BMW Schnitzer team.
Yeah, I'm very happy at the end. I'm happy that I had a very good car in the second race. In the first race I wasn't that happy with my setup as in the warm-up this morning, so we changed springs in between the 2 races and my car got a lot better. Very happy. I mean, Augusto catched me after 2 or 3 laps. He was really on my bumper, but then his tires went off and my car was really very consistent through the whole race.
Yeah, worried about that slight pressure of Augusto?
I'm always worried if he's somewhere around me, yeah.
It's a good performance also for the BMW team in the overall standings in the championship.
As I don't know which position we are at the moment, hopefully in position 1 again. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Oschersleben is a BMW circuit, as you've seen the last years, was most of the time BMW victory. But there's other circuits coming as well, and we're going to look stupid again, like in Brands Hatch or something like this. So it's going to be an up and down over the season.
Congratulations, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Never stupid, perhaps not quite as quick as they would hope to be, but I would never accuse the Schnitzer team of looking stupid. I don't think I've ever seen that be the case. I'm sure they have made mistakes that they have thought afterwards didn't help them much. But 2nd place, I bet Augusto Farfus is looking like a happy bunny.
Augusto Farfus, Alfa Romeo back on the podium. After your victory in Monza, we had slightly lost track of the Alfa team. It's a huge satisfaction to be back up there.
I'm quite happy this weekend after 2 bad races in Manicures and in Brands Hatch. Here in Oschersleben we came to the podium, so the 2nd place I have to say thanks to all guys, because after 2 bad races we work hard, we push, we gained some time in the car, so now we are still on the podium. Hope to go to Curitiba and to fight again.
What made the difference with the BMW team? Maybe the tires?
Our car was quite good in the fast corners. All fast corners in this track, our car was quite good, so that helped us to go with BMWs. But probably in Brazil the story will be different, so we have to still work on the car and try to gain some more tenths to be ready in Brazil.
and you'll be happy to be on home soil in Brazil. It's good to be on the podium before going home.
Yes, for all the team, give some feeling, some good feeling. So now we are happy and we have to still work on the car to bring it against the podium.
Thank you very much, Augusto.
Thank you.
So, of course, he heads to Curitiba as the only man who'll be racing at home, the only man who can speak the language, and possibly the only man who'll know what to order in the restaurants as well. The Alfa Romeo team, I'm sure, will have a great tour guide in Augusto Farfus. And perhaps the happiest man in Oschersleben this weekend, Dirk Müller, second and third. But he's looking good.
Dirk, you're the big winner of the weekend, the victory in race 1 and third position here. It's a perfect weekend at home in Germany.
I mean, well, having such a great start was my major victory actually in the second race, and I think it was the best start ever in my career. I mean, I was really just expecting the start, and I managed from 7th position up to 3rd or 4th at that stage. I cannot really remember, it was so exciting. And I mean, like in the first race, my car was really brilliant. I've never had such a great car in this year, and I was able to push it all time. I was able to really try to give Augusto a really hard time. But obviously, I mean, he is much lighter than I was, and I was really not able to follow him on the straight, and I was much quicker in the cornering. But here in Oschersleben, there's definitely no way by, and I didn't push too much. I just tried to force him into some mistakes, which he did obviously, and but I had no possibility to come by. And I just saved the 3rd place and the 3rd position, and being best driver point-wise of this weekend is feeling me really great.
You wanted to secure that 3rd position for the championship. If you look at the overall the standings, the top 6 drivers are really within the same couple of points. That's also amazing.
Yeah, that was my major target for this weekend. I mean, winning races makes me feel really great, but at the final end you need to get points. And I mean, I've seen that last year I won 3 races. I've been in the leading position for actually 8 rounds and lost it in the final one. So I know really how it works. And I was suffering actually a bit of that bad luck in qualifying yesterday, where Robert Huff had the mistake running wide in turn 10, and I came too close to him and couldn't really perform my really qualifying lap time. But anyway, I mean, I made the best out of it, and I'm now really looking forward for the break. I'm now hoping for Germany to win the soccer world title, and I'm now willing to cross my hands for them.
Dirk, thank you very much.
So Dirk Müller knows the way the game is played, even even if he is supporting the wrong team in the World Cup. Obviously, the home nation with a very big chance, and the World Cup kicks off next weekend. At which stage these cars, no matter what state they're in, will be halfway across the South Atlantic Ocean, passing the Azores and heading to Brazil. And Jörg Müller, Dirk Müller, Augusto Farfus, Peter Terting and the rest of them will be heading into an adventure that they have really very little idea where it will lead. And that will take us into July. Curitiba in July, the 4th of July. 2nd of July rather, and 30th of July to Puebla in Mexico. Confirmation of today's round 8 result. Just out of the points there, Rob Huff, Andy Prio and the rest of them. Tom Coronel, top independent. Ryan Sharp on the Independence Trophy podium in 2nd position. Good result for him as well. So they move on then to Curitiba. The shipping starts tomorrow, and David Leslie testing as well, I guess, for some of the teams. We know that some of them are having spare cars built up to do some testing work in the interim. But look at the championship. Your maths was right. Tie for the lead, Andy Prio and Ivan Muller. Tie a point behind James Thompson and Dirk Müller, and no less than 3 drivers behind Gabriele Tarquini and Ricard Riedel. On 31 points. And as you can see, a very, very close championship. Augusto Farfus leaping up into 8th place ahead of Peter Terting with a good race weekend. It really needs for some of the others just outside there to get some decent points, and suddenly, a complete completely different race weekend in Brazil and Mexico. Could really see all of those positions completely turned around. Mexico threw up some very bizarre results last year. I really hope actually that Mexico and Brazil will do so again this year.
I'm pretty sure it will, because it's different places they're going to. They've not been to Brazil before, and that's the first one they're going to go to. So I think it will be very difficult for some of the guys when they arrive there. It'll be a bit of a turnaround. It was a turnaround last year when Peter Turting won for the first time for himself, and that was good for him. Certainly we've got now 7. I said earlier on there'll be 6 people all within 6 points of each other. There are now 7 people all within striking distance of winning the World Touring Car Championship. So all the way through till the end of the year, from Brazil to Mexico to the Czech Republic, Turkey, Spain, and through to Macau, the last race, I still think that there'll be quite a number of people trying to win.
German national anthem rings out for race winner Jörg Müller, as undoubtedly he hopes that it will do at the Olympic Stadium for the final of the World Cup in a couple of weeks' time. Jörg Müller third place then, Jörg Müller the race winner, Schnitzer BMW having a good race weekend here again at Oschersleben. And Tom Coronel, let's just touch on the Yokohama Advan Independence Trophy again. Coronel on top form here. Alessandro Bartan didn't race, didn't score. He was tied with Ryan Sharp, joint second in the championship. Coronel taking both race wins, and Ryan Sharp getting 8 points in race 2. Still his closest rival, as Stefano D'Aste and Luca Rangoni both had problems. So it is starting to distill a little bit into a one-horse race, with everybody else battling to be the best of the rest behind Tom Coronel and the GR Asia Seat Leon. And certainly no shortage of kudos to Tom Coronel and to the GR Asia team. It's not just that the others are tripping each other up and tripping over their own shoelaces. Those two guys are doing, or that car and that team are doing a superb job running with the factory Seat team and the factory BMWs and the factory Alphas on a regular basis. In fact, they almost deserve to be moved up in amongst the rest of them. That is it then from Oschersleben in Germany, round 7 and 8 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. In a month from now, we meet again at Curitiba in Brazil. Join us for that. In the meanwhile, from me, Martin Haben, and from David Leslie, thank you for watching. Bye for now.